Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Lucha Rewatch Season 3. We are on episode 16, which means that this is going to be covering Lucha Underground Season 3, episodes 31 and 32. And, you know, we got some crazy shit going down in these two episodes. We got an amazing brawl that might go down as my favorite single segment in the history of Lucha Underground. And we got our big kind of blow off to two major storylines, the Cueto Cup and the world title feud match between Mundo and Rey. John, these two episodes felt like a big deal and some culminations and some big stuff. How did you feel about them?
Oh, brother, these episodes were action-packed, and I thoroughly enjoyed them. I mean, like you said, episode 31 had a great ending segment that was just so massive in scale and energy and all that. And then 32, we finally got our most anticipated world title match, you know, Rey Mysterio versus Johnny Mundo. And, I thought these episodes were great. There was maybe like one match, I think on episode 31, that we both were kind of underwhelmed by, at least on initial viewing. I don't know if either of our opinions have changed. But yeah, on the whole, I'd say these were two really solid episodes.
Yeah, these were two really good episodes. For the second video, or for the second episode, episode 32, I just three big matches. Well, two big matches and one match with storyline implications. But then this first show, we only got two matches on the first show on episode 31. So, hey, you know what? I'm already talking about it. You want to get right into this?
Let's get right into this. Episode 31, we opened with a Cage and Katrina cinematic, and brother, walk us through it.
Well, first thing he says is that the gauntlet is his because Katrina is asking him about it. Like, you know what that is? And he's just like, yeah, it's mine. And she tells him, you know, that doesn't belong to you, right? And soon enough, if you keep on using that thing, you won't belong to you. You're working with some dark, forbidden magic there. And in time, it will consume you. And he's just like, oh, so I guess it would just be easiest for me to hand it over to you. And then she goes, yeah, that would be easiest. And then he's just like, well, I've never been the kind of guy that liked things the easy way. And she's just like, you know, that might be true, but you'll hate the hard way even more. And Cage is just like, you know, fine. And then she grabs him by the arm and tries to, I think that was when she told him about how he'll hate the hard way even more. And he gets pissy and he tries to give her a back fist, but she teleports away and he whiffs.
Yeah, thank goodness for those teleporting abilities. I really like the tension that this cinematic established. I mean, obviously the Gauntlet storyline was absolutely nuts. I loved it. I loved every twist and turn, and this is just a continuation of that because we know now Katrina's vested interest in getting the Gauntlet. You know, Captain Vasquez, aka Mother, so that she can retrieve, the whole amulet. So now Katrina has stakes in this. And Cage, well, his stakes are, it's mine. Keep your fucking grubby paws off of it. I'll destroy you. And so, yeah, we see a meeting of these two forces, and it doesn't go so well for Cage, but it's not the last time these two get to interact. So I quite like this cinematic, and there's nothing more I can really say about it.
All right, man. Well, if you don't have anything else to add, we can move on, because up next we got Joey Ryan in Dario Cueto's office. And I find it ironic that he refers to Officer Reyes here as a rat, because he is full-blown snitching on Reyes here, talking about how he thinks he is Veneno.
Yeah. And Cueto at first, like, it's a disconnect. Like, oh, who? And then, he has to remind him, the cop. And Cueto's like, and then he, talks about Veneno. And then so they establish now that next week, just to kind of expose him, they're going to do Sexy Star versus Veneno in a mask versus mask match. And Joey Ryan's like, oh, I love that idea. And then Cueto's like, you know what I love? He's like, what? He's like, peace and quiet. Now get the hell out. So yeah, he kicks him out of the office. And another solid cinematic that just keeps the show moving forward, already laying the groundwork for next week. And I feel like we're just like barely into this episode. So I love just Lucha Underground constantly putting its best foot forward, because you know how critical I am with WWE and other promotions. Like, oh, you have all this time and you rest on your laurels. Nah, man, not Lucha Underground. They just keep the engine running. So I really love that. And yeah, that's all I got to say about this cinematic as well.
Yeah, man. So then we get into our first match, and I'm going to let you kind of, carry the conversation on this one. Phoenix versus Prince Puma in Cueto Cup semifinals action.
Yeah, I mean, again, you got Puma, who's insanely talented, and Phoenix, who's great in ring, if not incredibly OP. So, these two are really just throwing everything at each other. Again, it's hard for me really to get into any kind of a Phoenix match just because, he's not my favorite Lucha Underground character. That said, though, I did enjoy the ending sequence because it did further Phoenix's current feud with Marty the Moth. You see Marty tries to get involved, and he's, like, harassing Melissa. And Melissa's like, Marty, no, Marty, no. And Phoenix, does a moonsault to the outside, taking Marty out. But then when he comes back in, Puma gets him in like that inverted kind of suplex, not like a Fire Thunder driver because he hasn't done that in a while, but like almost like, this inverted lift up, drop down suplex. And that only gets a 2 count. So I actually like that he doesn't beat Phoenix immediately after the Marty interference. It shows how tough Phoenix is and how Puma constantly has to go the extra mile. But then he's able to hit the 630. Phoenix doesn't put up any resistance, again, given that he got hit with the prior maneuver. And that's the 3 count for Puma. So, yeah, a solid match. I mean, Phoenix did the best he could, but, Puma's just on another level right now. And plus, again, the Marty interference, that protects Phoenix wholeheartedly. And, so Puma advances, and Marty still got his eyes on demasking Phoenix.
Yeah, it's funny, though, that you say that it wasn't the Fire Thunder driver, because it did look like it to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think it had like the spin and everything, but it doesn't have like the same kind of drop, I feel like, as a Fire Thunder driver does. Because it wasn't even like a pile driver position to me. And it wasn't like the head goes straight down.
Yeah, because like I feel like it's weird because the Fire Thunder driver is like that's Phoenix's main finishing move, right?
Yeah, I think that's when he used it like in big time matchups, like when he wants to pull something out.
Yeah, and so I guess then the Ricochet / Puma's whatever you want to call it thing, I guess that would be more like almost Michinoku driver-esque.
Yeah, almost. I'd say that shares a better kinship with the Michinoku driver than the Fire Thunder driver. So,
you know what? I pulled up Ricochet's Wikipedia page. He calls it Vertigo, and it's
okay. Yeah, cool.
It's we get the inverted DDT lift. But then it's called a sit-out scoop slam pile driver. So basically, yeah, just a Michinoku driver.
Okay, yeah. All right.
So it's like the inverted DDT lift, so the inverted face lock lifted into the Michinoku driver.
Okay. So yeah, that's he sets up 630 then with Vertigo more or less because again, Phoenix is out even after the initial kick out. Like he can't offer any resistance. And yeah, Puma wins with the 630. So not a bad match. Just again, the finish is what really matters here. In fact, we'd probably say that about a lot of the Cueto Cup matches until the finals because, there are a lot of interlocking stories in a lot of these matches. You look at Dante Fox, he had his stuff with Killshot, and now with Phoenix, he's got his stuff with Marty. So, yeah, it's just really kind of thinning out the herd. Yeah, and that's all I can really say about this. So if you want to move on, we can.
All right, man. Well, up next, we got a locker room scene, and it seems like we were going to do something with Sexy Star, but then we just kind of ignored her. Like, they showed her, and then we didn't actually get anything regarding her. We see Mil Muertes punching a punching bag off its hinges, and that can be felt reverberating throughout the entire temple. We see, I think, the glass in Dario Cueto's office even broke and everything. And then Katrina says to save it for Pentagon. And then we see Cage attack Mil from behind with his big-ass weight. And it's like the kind of weight that you would put for like bench press and shit, like a big disc.
Right.
Clunks Mil in the back of the head with it, then in the ribs, and then drops it on Mil's back while Lay is lying on the floor, stomach down, face down. And then he just looks at Katrina and says, "You were saying," and then he walks away. But then Katrina walks over to Mil and holds the rock up to his face, which kind of restores his power. And he, he stands up and he's angry and he's pissed. But then she's just like, Cage's time will come. Use this anger to break Pentagon in 2.
I love that. I love that even though Mil is now at a significant disadvantage, given that, he took a weight to the fucking, midsection and stuff like that, Katrina's still kind of like imploring him, fight kind of thing. And yeah, I love it. Cage, just such a dick. Like, oh, so this is what you meant about the hard way, sticking, your pet, Mil Muertes on me. Well, what now, huh? What now? So yeah, I love that Cage is like puffing his chest out, thinking he's hot shit because he laid out Mil Muertes. And yeah, just everything about this is great, dude. I loved it.
Yeah, I love it too. But hey, we get right into the next match. Mil Muertes, Pentagon Dark, 1-on-1. And I didn't really have a ton of notes as far as the match itself goes, except for the tail end of it. So if you want to talk about it, and then I have a little something to say just about like the last 30 seconds or so of the match.
Well, yeah, I mean, because here's the thing: you've got Mil coming in at this disadvantage, but it's still Mil Muertes, so he's still going to put up as much of a fight. And Pentagon's just sadistic. He loves the punishment and stuff like that. So it's a solid back and forth. But really, and what I liked about this match was that the preceding cinematic does tie in here, because Pentagon ultimately beats Mil Muertes with a top rope double stomp to that same midsection that Cage is, using the weight, kind of injured. And I really appreciate that, because again, it's like, they're able to protect the acts that matter. Phoenix got protected, I felt like, in a great way. And I mean, Mil especially, because we see what he's going in with. So you can tell that even though these guys weren't destined for the Cueto Cup, that they still have a very high value in Lucha Underground. I mean, Son of Havoc got protected because Son of Madness attacked him before his match with Dante. Again, I already mentioned Mil Muertes and Phoenix. Like, you could tell these are the guys that Lucha Underground's like, yeah, we want to keep them strong, for future seasons. We don't want them to regress any after putting in all this work. And I feel like they did a great job of that. And yeah, because Pentagon was able to exploit Cage's work, he's able to move on to the Cueto Cup finals. So yeah, what did you have to say about this match?
Oh yeah, this was a great match, man. Very violent. And then as far as what I actually had to say was, I love at the end of the match when Pentagon super kicked Katrina, but really, like, when did he decide to start using a double stomp as his finisher?
Yeah, it's almost like he knew, right? Like, I sense weakness in you. And then he just adapted. So that is a good question. I really wouldn't know the answer to it, but I guess, like, on the whole, it makes sense and I could forgive it. But yeah, some explanation would be nice, I guess. It's like, how did you know? But yeah, man, that's all I could really think to say about it.
Yeah, it was weird, man. I don't know if I even dislike the idea of Pentagon using the double stomp. I just wish he would have used it more than just this one time to win,
Right. This way it could have really been established, like, yeah, he's got this in his arsenal, and oh man, now Mil's really got to look out because he's got this injured midsection, rather than just, oh wait, what move can I do? Because again, I sense weakness in you. Oh, double stomp will work fine. Yeah, I can see what you're saying.
Yeah. All right. So then we get to our main event segment, because after Pentagon goes for the stomp, or hits the stomp, he gets the win, and then he tries to break Mil's arm again. But Katrina holds up the rock and it powers Mil up enough that he can like power Pentagon off of him. But then Dario gets in the ring, and this is after a commercial break, I believe. And he announces that next week we're going to get Mundo versus Ray. But before then, he wants to have them face off because he just loves when his fighters talk shit to each other. He literally said that. I love Dario Cueto so much.
Yeah, I love how openly honest he is about it. Like, yeah, I want to milk this fight for everything I possibly can. And so we're going to get these two fighters together that have already made it immensely personally, especially on Mundo's end, attacking Dominic, which was hilarious. And, I want to keep stoking those flames even further. And so, yeah, Ray and Mundo oblige, and what ensues is quite chaotic.
Yeah, I mean, the whole segment was incredible. This might go down as my favorite segment in the history of Lucha Underground, which speaks volumes, because there are a lot of amazing ones. It's a freaking great wrestling promotion that's had a lot of awesome segments in its over 100 episode run so far. And I'm thankful to say that it's going to keep on going past 130, I believe, once we get through season 4, and hopefully past 150, maybe even 160 once we get through season 5, hoping that is also a thing. But as far as this segment, I love that Mundo he's just such a cocky prick, man. Like, Ray comes out and then Mundo comes out, but Mundo brings a bunch of security guards with him. And he starts talking, your generic wrestling bad guy shit, and I'm gonna whip your ass, and I've trained hard, and I'm gonna take you to Slam Town and all that garbage. But then he goes personal, and he talks about, man, Dominic, he's a big guy, man. What is he now? 6'2", 6'3"? Must have gotten all that size from his mother.
Yeah, dude, I
and then
love
he goes
it.
after Ray. He's like, how tall are you, Ray? 5'1", 4'9"? Man, I don't know about you, but if Dominic was my kid, I'd be worried. Are you sure you're Dominic's real dad? And that's the final straw for Ray. He snaps, he attacks.
Yeah, man. I mean, he's just getting flashbacks to that Guerrero feud all over again. Yeah, I love it, dude. See, that's the thing. Like, we've been talking a lot about, even in conversation about like former WWE talents, people that have gone on to improve themselves, people that have gone on, to kind of stagnate, seemingly. Cody. So to really see Mundo, who openly acknowledged, many times that like, I need to learn to cut better promos. Like, was this CM Punk levels or anything like that? No, of course not. But do I think it was a solid heel promo that got us from point A to point B to promote a title fight? Absolutely. I feel like this is a serviceable promo, even a quality promo towards the end, when he got to talk about, Dominic's mother and, of course, Ray's wife by extension and Ray and stuff like that. Like, I thought it just went, from like, okay, this is good. This is doing what it needs to wow, sick burn. So, yeah, I really appreciate how far he's come on the mic, dude. It's great.
Yeah. And so then Ray attacks him, and it's worth noting the security detail is absolutely fucking worthless.
Oh, they always are, dude. They always are. It's like,
yeah, but once they finally do get to Ray, they manage to hold him back. And then he gets to attack Mundo again in the ring, but they hold him back again. But then the second time when they get to hold him back, Worldwide Underground shows up because they do what the security detail does better than the security detail.
Yeah.
And they all, the rest of the Worldwide Underground show up, and all 5 members end up beating Ray down. We get the 4-member, excluding Ricky because he's not an actual member, doing their handshake. But then El Dragon Azteca Jr., Sexy Star, and the Mac all come out to help. So the reinforcements are here. Everybody kind of breaks off, and it ends up leaving Ray and Mundo still in the ring with only each other. Mundo is, he's got a little bit of a leg up on Ray. He gets the kick in and all that stuff. He gets the leg trip. But then Puma shows up. And after Puma shows up, we kind of get this awkward moment where he's staring at Mundo, and then he looks at Ray, and it's almost like he's thinking about attacking Ray, but then Pentagon shows up. Of course, he has to pander to the audience at home. He does the Cero Miedo pose into the camera, and he gets in the ring, and then Puma goes after Pentagon, and then Ray goes after Mundo, and then Mundo kicks Puma, and then Pentagon kicks Mundo, and then Ray kicks Pentagon, but then Mil Muertes shows up, and he goes after Pentagon, and then he hits a double lariat on Pentagon and Puma, and then Cage shows up, and he takes out Ray, then he takes out Mundo, then he and Mil have a stare down and a strike exchange. Then Marty the Moth of all people shows up at the top of the temple, because why the hell not? But then Phoenix attacks him from behind, because of course he does. And then Mariposa shows up to help Marty, and then Joey Ryan shows up for no reason whatsoever, and Vinny Massaro shows up to beat him up because apparently Vinny hates cops. And then Jeremiah Crane shows up and attacks Marty the Moth for apparently no reason. And then the Rabbit Tribe is just like, oh, this is crazy. Let's get a nice seat. So they sit atop Dario Cueto's office with a carrot in each of their hands to enjoy their version of movie theater popcorn. And then we see Dante Fox up on the balcony watching everything with the fans. So the Rabbit Tribe are the only ones that wanted to watch this, but they're the only ones that got to watch it in peace, because then Killshot attacks Dante from behind. And then we finally get back to Mundo in the ring with Ray, and Ray hits Mundo with a 619 and holds up the Lucha Underground title towards the fans, to really just kind of send us home with the sense of what the hell just happened. And this entire segment is just amazing.
Dude, I said it at the start of Lucha Rewatch. I loved how vast this was, how big this felt, and yet it never felt like they were losing control of it. You know what I mean? It was like they were able to keep track of all the action perfectly. And I love that. And they really focused on what mattered. You even got a bit of levity with it, again, with the Rabbit Tribe, which I thought was great. And yeah, I love this. I think this is one of the best things Lucha Underground's done in all 3 of its seasons. You said this might go down as one of your favorite Lucha Underground segments ever. So yeah, I mean, talk to us more about that. Like, what did you really love about this?
I love that everything with two little disconnects. Because to me, like the first disconnect was Marty, which makes sense because it's fucking Marty, and he, you know, he's disconnected from everything, including his own sense of reality. And then the other disconnect that I got was Joey Ryan and Vinny Massaro. I didn't really get that, but everything else was connected, and I loved that. Like we got Mundo and Ray, and then of course Puma would come out, and I love too that like when this first happened, you're thinking like, oh God, Mundo's out here or Puma's out here, but like he's not attacking Mundo, and now he's looking at Ray. Like, is this gonna be a heel turn segment for Puma? But then before he even gets a chance to do it, Pentagon's like, no, fuck that. I'm getting in on the action too. And he goes in, and then we get like, because the beautiful thing there is that like right there, it's like, well, that could have been a segment all in of itself, because that's like, oh my God, these are the four guys where we know that two of them are going to be facing each other for the Lucha Underground Championship at Ultima Lucha Trace. Like that's our Ultima Lucha Trace main event is going to be two of these guys, and they pair off perfectly. But then like after it continues to break down and Mill shows up, it's like, okay, well, he's still pissed at Pentagon, obviously, so he kind of runs. And then Cage showing up made sense because of the Katrina connection. So all of that made sense. And then Marty threw things out. But even then with Marty, like, it doesn't make sense why he would have come out in the first place. But everyone that came out that got involved with his brawl made sense because Phoenix hates him because of what he's trying to do with Melissa. Money Post is his brother, so of course she's going to try and help him. Now, Jeremiah Crane, I didn't get that either. I don't know why he showed up and decided to go after Marty the Moth or kick him in the face, but I enjoyed it. And then the freaking Rabbit Tribe just sitting at the top of Cueto's office celebrating with their carrots was amazing. I just love this thing, man. Everything about this was so good, even if not all of it necessarily did make sense.
Yeah, like, I gotta say, because you know, we've been low-key, like, Vinny Massaro supporters on the podcast. And when he went after Joey Ryan, I got so excited because I'm like, oh, man, are they about to feud, you know, when Joey Ryan gets whatever he needs done with Reyes? And that never happened. Of course, season 4, though, I'm always waiting for one season to be the season of Massaro, you know? Soon he's going to be eating pizza in the ring instead of in bathrooms. You wait and you see. But, yeah, that was a bit confusing to me as well. But you know what, though? I think it was just more indicative of the fact that this is pure chaos. And chaos really never has any coherence for the most part. So everybody just gets in on it. And Marty, you know, being the way he is, you know, he looks at things like this as like playthings or as, you know, fun time. The same way he looked at Killshot being a soldier and having to do legitimate things in war. Like, you know, that to him was just a game. And he probably just looked at all this as a game as well. And so, yeah, like I really, really appreciated this. This is a great way to cap off the episode. And then to have Ray stand tall, you know, when you look at it from a narrative perspective and me putting my bias aside, it makes sense because, you know, he had to give Mundo some kind of a receipt for all the personal crap he's given him the past few episodes. So, you know, that made sense as well. And, you know, I almost find it kind of symbolic because amidst all the chaos, the only coherent thing that emerges is that, you know, Rey Mysterio, the king of Lucha Libre, all this stuff, stands atop it all with the Lucha Underground Championship. So, yeah, very well done segment for sure.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. So, up next, we can get into episode 32. And we start things out with a recap, of course, and then we get into our first match of the night, which is a mask versus mask match, only the second one in Lucha Underground history. Veneno and Sexy Star. And, of course, while this is only the second mask versus mask match in Lucha Underground history, Sexy Star has been involved in both of them, and, spoiler alert, she's also won both of them.
Yeah, because this match, to me, barely even gets underway, partner. When Joey Ryan comes out and he takes the mask of, you know, Veneno, who, of course, is Cortez Castro. So Castro gets outed, you know, to everybody. And I love, dude, I know Joey Ryan is kind of a controversial figure in the wrestling community because some people, like, love what he does. Some people hate what he does, you know, and stuff like that. You know, I love Joey Ryan. I think the guy's great. I love, too, when he's celebrating with the mask. I knew it. I told you. I told all of you. Like, he was so proud of it. Like, yes, I'm the smartest. I'm the best. It's the funniest fucking shit to me. And then when Castro, you know, tries getting revenge on him and it seems like he's about to do serious damage, Joey Ryan gets a low blow and he's able to, like, scurry out of the temple, you know, with the mask. I was expecting a follow-up cinematic on first viewing, but obviously we didn't get that. And yeah, now Castro's kind of been outed as, going undercover again, and Ryan ruins it. So not really much to say about the match, because it really wasn't about that so much as it was, again, Joey Ryan fucking things up for Castro in just the most hilarious way possible. So I thoroughly enjoyed this, dude.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I mean, Joey Ryan, it's so funny that I said this earlier too, but it's so funny that he keeps calling Reyes a rat when he's so clearly a snitch. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
God, what a piece of shit. No wonder you love him so much.
I know, right? God, I fucking love douchebags.
So then Johnny Mundo shows up in Dario Cueto's office with Benji. And Benji tells Dario that he is unhappy with the way Dario has been treating Johnny. He feels like he's underappreciated and that he's been getting offers from everywhere and that Dario doesn't appreciate him enough. And basically threatens to leave Lucha Underground if Mundo loses unfairly tonight.
Yeah, which, looking back on it, I'm surprised that this didn't raise my eyebrow more initially upon first viewing, because what would they constitute as unfairly? What are they thinking about? It's just weird, the phrasing and everything. And at first I'm thinking, well, they're heels, so probably like him losing it all, right? They'd probably find some way, some mental gymnastics to say, oh, well, this is unfair because I didn't have my protein shake this morning, or, something like that. But yeah, it is weird that they'd phrase it that way, and that Cueto would be the one put under the gun by a talent, when we know that Cueto, like, we know who he answers to, even though the rest of the talent doesn't know that, but we know that in his corner of the world, Cueto loves puffing his chest out, right? He loves being that authority figure. So to see a talent make him sweat because he is the world champion, I honestly thought, well, this is Lucha Underground. That kind of hubristic attitude could backfire just as easily, because Cueto could be like, well, you want to mouth off to me, you little shit? Well, then I am going to make sure that you're not Lucha Underground champion. So yeah, it was just very interesting, this cinematic. And it definitely built intrigue for however the main event was going to go down later in the night.
Yeah. So then we get into our second match of the night, and that is our Cueto Cup Finals. Prince Puma, Pentagon Dark. Puma won this with a 630, and John, I'm going to let you fill in all those gaps, brother.
Man, there's really not much to say, man. Like, it was a good match, but I remember you and I saying on the first viewing, like, we were really underwhelmed by it, and we just wondered, like, is this really it? Because you're talking about two of the biggest stars in my mind in Lucha Underground. I think you would agree with that. Like, Pentagon especially, so freaking over, so insane, and Puma, I mean, day one, right? The guy. So when you've got these two forces colliding, it's supposed to be a big fucking deal, and that it just never came off that way to me, even on the second viewing. Now, I know you left it to me to like fill in the gaps, and that's really all I've got to say about it. I just want to know very quickly, do you still feel the same way that I do? Were you more forgiving of this match on the second viewing? I just want to get in your thoughts, because I know that you and I resoundingly were kind of disappointed with this match on first viewing.
Well, yeah, it was a disappointing match, because like, I feel like their first match that they had earlier on in season 2 it blew this out of the water, and it was shorter too, if I remember correctly, than this match. So yeah, I definitely agree that this was underwhelming. I mean, it wasn't a bad match by any means, but it was definitely not what you expect, especially considering how good their first match was, especially with the way that they booked that finish, and how good their triple threat with Mill was. Both of those matches were better than this.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think another thing, too, that we said on first viewing that I still felt on second viewing, I feel like Puma got the 630 way too quickly here. It seemed like the match is almost kind of rushed in a way, because I'm like, is he really going to hit it already? And then when he did, like, you knew that was it. Because, like, you have to be in the elite tier to kick out of a 630, and I feel like only Mill has ever really done that, in a big way. So when he hit it on Pentagon Dark, like maybe he would have kicked out, and I did kind of have that idea in the back of my mind. But then, when he didn't, you're just like, oh, well, that's it then. Puma's going to Ultimate Lucha Trace, which is fine. I don't mind that aspect. It's just I wish that they would have given this match more time to breathe. And, maybe it was a mistake. I mean, let me ask you this, partner. In hindsight, do you think it was a mistake to have both this and the world title match on the same episode? Do you think that both these things were so significant that maybe they should have gotten their own episodes?
What? I appreciate that line of thinking, but I think Lucha Underground is so different because they really do, because of the fact that they have one big pay-per-view every year, they really do like to have sort of mini pay-per-view episodes every few months, and this was one of those. So I don't have any problem with it whatsoever.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Plus, I mean, I've got to be realistic too, and Lucha Underground's a medium where, they are on El Rey. it's got to be a strict schedule. There's only so much you can do. So I don't mean to be demanding. I'm just saying, like, in an ideal world, if we could manipulate such variables, I do wonder if it would have been better. But I think you're right. You know, they already had the end game of Ultimate Lucha Trace. And, you know, you're going to hit bumps on any road. I mean, hell, we've got the road to WrestleMania coming up. You don't think the WWE is going to hit a few potholes going there? I mean, come on now. So, yeah, like, it wasn't an atrocious match by any means. It's just when you look at the two people involved and you know what's capable of being done here, you're just left kind of wanting in a way. But, yeah, that's all I really have to say about that. So, according to my notes here, though, we go right into the Lucha Underground Championship match. Are my notes correct? Just to double check with you, because we didn't have any cinematics or anything in between.
Yeah, that is correct. We didn't have any cinematics in between Puma, Pentagon, and Mysterio Mundo. We just went right from one to the other.
Yeah, I love this match, man. I mean, Rey Mysterio, you know, he stayed healthy enough to do like these big freaking spots for a match like this. You know, he did a seat and senton to the outside. That was pretty cool. Really, a lot of his aerial styles I felt like were very impressive. Mundo, though, with the heel work, I fucking adore him. You know, the thumb to the eye, the trash talk, all this and that. Like, it's so fundamental, but I think it's all in the presentation, and I think Mundo really got a sound understanding of that during his title reign. And then, of course, we know, like, the big moment in the match here, you know, we do the ref bump, and, you know, Mundo gets the low blow on Rey. Crowd's booing, like, oh, you suck, Mundo, which, you sit the fuck down, you don't know. And then Dominic comes out, and he's kind of eyeing Mundo. And then Dominic does, like, a takedown, which I'll admit, you know, was a really cool spot to see a fan get involved, even though, you know, the fan has an intimate relation with one of the competitors. And then Dominic punches out one of the security. He's running the back. And then Rey, you know, he gets the 619 again because he sees, like, okay, the moment is now. And then he does the springboard frog splash, which I do like that from Rey. I think that's a nice upgrade in his repertoire. Better than, like, his version of a top rope frog splash. And he's about to get the 3 count, but, you know, Cueto pulls the referee out. And Rey is just like, you know, like, dude, the fuck? I had it. I had him beat. You know, I had him dead to rights. And even Stryker, who I know sometimes, like, he could get on our nerves, I felt like he made good points here, even in a kayfabe context, because he's like, why wouldn't Cueto want Rey as Lucha Underground champion? Like, you know, again, El Rey, king of Lucha Libre, legend, like, that's gonna, you know, draw money and all this and that. So he's even wondering from that side, like, well, what does Cueto have to gain here? But then Cueto's talking shit to Rey, like, oh, you think you're so great, this and that, and then he pie faces Rey, which I don't even understand why Cueto took it that far. You know, but maybe he's like, all right, well, I'm already in this deep. I might as well commit. And then Rey 619's Dario. But then in the ensuing chaos, Mundo gets the Lucha Underground Championship. And as Rey re-enters the ring, he gets clocked in the back of the head with it. And his positioning is such that Mundo's able to hit the end of the world. And there's the 3 count. And I love that Mundo just immediately goes to his world title, smile and all, and says, you know, I'm the best, I'm the man, I did it, and not a single fuck given, dude. You know, again, was this the best world title match of Mundo's reign? I'd still give that to the end of it, you know, Puma and him at Ultima Lucha Trace. But I still enjoyed this for what it was. If for no other reason, once again, we got to see Mundo just be a great heel to me. So, yeah, this match gets a thumbs up from me.
Absolutely, yeah. This was a really fun match. I really enjoyed just the like, and you know what? I actually do want to give credit. They gave this match so much more time than we're used to seeing on regular episodes of Lucha Underground television.
Yeah, that's so true, dude. That's a great point.
And I think that it has to do with, like, I think that they might have planned that. I think that they knew, like, this match was going to be, it might go down as the longest non-all night long, non-battle royal match in Lucha Underground history on television, not counting Ultima Lucha. And
yeah.
I think they might have planned that ahead of time, and that's why they built up to it so strongly, because they knew, like, this match is going to be a barn burner. We're going to give it 20 plus minutes, and they're going to be freaking amazing out there.
Yeah. Dude, I completely agree. And I feel like for all the hype and stuff that it got, you know, it definitely delivered what it was supposed to. And now, didn't you say, because we always talk about stuff outside of season 3, because you always put the, like, the spoiler disclaimer, you know, in the title. Isn't it more or less confirmed that Rey will be a part of season 4? Or what's his status for season 4? Because I know that
we have no clue. I mean, the last I heard, he was still negotiating with WWE, so we just don't know.
Interesting. Interesting. All right. Well, yeah, man, that's all I really have to say about the title match. And yeah, that does it for Lucha Rewatch episode 16, episodes 31 and 32. So next week will be episode 17, episodes 33 and 34 as we inch ever closer to Ultimate Lucha Trace. It feels like just yesterday we began this series, and I feel like we're really barreling through it as of late. So yeah, man, I've got nothing else to say, so I'm going to hand the reins over to you to take us home.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, you know, we're going to change things up a little bit here, actually. So for those of you that actually watch this series, you're getting a little bit of a head start. I actually, we have a little bit of a surprise coming to the channel in March. Obviously, Lucha Rewatch is coming to an end for this season. We've got, this was episode 16, then 17 will be next week, then 18, 19, and 20. Episode 20 is the final episode. That happens on March 7th. And then 1 week later, on Wednesday, March 14th, we will be back here live. I think it'll be at the same time, but I'll have to check to make sure. We have got an interview with 2 Lucha Underground writers coming to the channel on Wednesday, March 14th. We're going to be bringing in Chris Roach, who is a writer for Lucha Underground, and Chris DJ DeJoseph, who is also, I believe he is their head writer and an executive producer of Lucha Underground. So we are going to be getting both of those guys in here for an interview. They are going to be discussing with us storylines that were possibly going to happen that didn't ever happen, or storylines that ended up changing on the fly through seasons 1 through 3. So we're going to be bringing in those 2 guys. We're going to be talking about storylines that were changed, storylines that were dropped, all that kind of crazy stuff. And we're going to have them on. I don't know how long they're going to be here, but I do know that we do have that interview lined up on March 14th, Wednesday, March 14th, hopefully around the same time that we're usually live here with Lucha Rewatch. So if you're here, you're listening to this, you're finding this out before anyone, because we haven't said this to anyone in the Discord. We haven't mentioned this in any of our other videos, but I did tell one of these guys that I was going to start advertising this interview on this week's episode of Lucha Rewatch. So here we are, Lucha Rewatch Season 3, Episode 16, and I'm letting you guys know that on Wednesday, March 14th, we will have Chris Roach, the Lucha Underground's writer, and Chris DeJoseph, head writer and executive producer, on TWitWoW for an interview. It's our first ever interview, believe it or not. John, how are you? Are you? I know you're excited, but I really want to get your thoughts on this interview because you've known about it, and this is the first time we're letting the public know about it.
Oh, brother, I'm doing my best to bring my Walter Cronkite on, be the best journalist I can be, asking all the hard-hitting questions. But no, this is so freaking cool, because we've had a great rapport with Lucha Underground for the longest time. I mean, really, again, folks, I always like to go on my way and say it was Ashton that really got the ball rolling because he saw something special, in Lucha Underground. He's like, dude, I think we should get ahead of this. And, thankfully I listened because I said it best, like, oh, we should at least give it like 5 episodes or something, really get to see like what the tone's about. And he's like, no, we should really do this now. And I'm like, okay. And we did. And to know that it's kind of blown up into this, and I genuinely do believe, and this isn't to be hubristic or anything like that, like we are the premier channel, for Lucha Underground content. I don't know any other channel that covers Lucha Underground with the, the regularity and the passion and the love that we do. And, I take a lot of pride in that. I know you do too. So for it to really culminate in this interview with, 2 of the brilliant minds behind it is just absolutely surreal. And guys, like, I'm going to be very interested because they even said, and here's where it gets me, right, is we're not just getting like table scraps or like a rehash of what other podcasts have already gotten. And to be fair, like I would have been cool with that too. Just like the idea of an appearance was cool enough. But the idea that they're talking about something with us first and foremost is just kind of, goosebump inducing a little bit. Because it's like, wow, we're privy to information that no other podcast has really gotten to know. So yeah, I'm really hoping to do this interview justice. It's going to be, I think, the biggest thing easily we've done on this channel. And it's just another testament to how far we've come. So yeah, definitely like a lot of emotions, man, when you really think about it. It's nuts.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm really glad that we got the opportunity to have them in for an interview, and I'm happy that we were able to start advertising it nice and early here on Lucha Rewatch. We're going to have to start advertising it on other shows, but I think for the first 2 or 3 weeks, we're just going to talk about it here on Lucha Rewatch. So if you're hearing it now, you're hearing it here. you are one of the first people to know about it, and congratulations on finding out so far ahead of time compared to everyone else. So yeah, that's it. We're gonna have that on March 14th. That's gonna be the week after the last episode of Lucha Rewatch Season 3. And of course, now I guess we can actually do an outro. So ladies and gentlemen, remember to like the video if you haven't already. Leave a comment. Let us know what you thought about the video. Let us know what you think about Lucha Underground writers coming onto the channel for an interview. Let us know what you think about our discussion here today on these 2 episodes that we discussed. And of course, remember, if you haven't already, to subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon so you can get notified every time we go live or upload a video. We do have a bunch of Lucha Underground content in our archive, and we've got playlists including that content in the description. So if you're interested in our previous seasons of Lucha Rewatch, then Lucha Rewatch seasons 1 and 2 have playlists, and they are in the description, as well as this ongoing Lucha Underground Rewatch season 3 playlist. And if you want our original thoughts on these Lucha Underground season 3 episodes, you can go back and listen to our live reactions to those episodes, which is also a playlist, or you can go back and listen to our TWitWoW reviews of the season 3 episodes, and that's also a playlist. And all those are linked in the description, as well as links to our Twitter, which you should follow, both of us, and our Facebook, which you should like. And of course, our Teespring, where if you're interested in buying TWitWoW related merchandise, that's how to do it. And our Patreon, which is only $3 a month to get you exclusive access to the official TWitWoW patron Discord. And not only that, not only do you get into the Discord and you get as sort of intimate contact with John and myself and other TWitWoW fans as is possible, but then you also get that $3 a month accumulating over time, and that will allow you to request live reactions or live reactions and reviews on wrestling shows of your choosing from us, as well as all of those $3 donations accumulating and allowing us to continue live reacting to Progress every Tuesday. So tons of benefits to donate into the Patreon. And I guess that's about all we've got for you guys today. We will not be covering NXT tonight or next Wednesday, but then the following Wednesday, we will go back to it. And we will see you all, I think, next Tuesday for Progress, depending on if anything else gets hammered out between now and then regarding Patreon requests. We do have 2 Patreon requests that we're going to be doing this month, but the time and date hasn't been set for either one of them yet. So for now, just plan on being back here on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern time for Progress Chapter 7 live reactions. And until then, of course, remember to stay tuned.